Hey everyone, so I'm here with Ben Davis, and if you guys remember, a short while back I did an interview with Tyler Ritchie, and he was talking about the fact that he had a really bad motor vehicle accident in Mexico and was suffering tremendously from pain issues and numerous surgeries and things that he had to endure, and found the keto lifestyle and found that it was making a huge difference for him, where his pain wasn't gone away completely, but had brought him to a stage where his life was manageable again, and basically that his life was returned to him. And I was pretty amazed by that. And then, within a few days after that, I was approached by Ben, and he not only has a personal story of how this has benefited him, but also a really cool thing that he's trying to do to bring it to the rest of the veterans, because his experience has been through the military. And now, not only what I really want to hear about a bit later, Ben, is the benefits you've found for PTSD and stuff like that, because don't think we've touched on that in an interview that I've done, at least within this community. So it would be really cool to hear about how that's benefiting you, and also about your ideas about trying to help and benefit the rest of the veteran community.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. I appreciate the opportunity. When I saw Tyler's story, it really did resonate with me. So it's interesting. And for me, I've had a very interesting life and a lot of interesting journeys and things like that. But I'll focus on my time in the military. And from 2003 to 2009, I was in the Army. And I had served in I was a ground pounder, if you will. And so I saw a lot of time overseas in the Middle East. And I amassed how to say it's a good bit of a thick medical file, if you will. And just based on the things that you do, you just get beat up. You carry heavy loads long ways. And so from stress fractures and sprains, strains, everything just from the training alone can be pretty difficult. So you throw in deployments and to combat zones and things like that, and it can you can get some interesting injuries. So everything from lots of explosions and things of that nature, and things to that, to gunshots, to everything. So my time was definitely eventful, and I had a lot of great experiences and some bad ones, but it definitely took a toll on my life and on me. And as I transitioned out, I was trying to figure out how to manage injuries. I mean, everything from broken bones, I had a partial hip replacements. I've lost a lot of the hearing in both my ears. I have bilateral tinnitus. I mean, you name it, there's just a list. I think we've talked about it before. But as I got out, I was trying to understand how to kind of, one, be a civilian again, a normal person, and how to transition back in and how to, I guess, deal with aches and pains and just life in general. Because when you are in the kind of job that I did, you don't ever seek medical treatment. You don't ever go to the doctor, things like that. So you just let things build up and they become chronic issues. And for me, as I got out, I had to learn how to see doctors and get help, because that was just taboo. And as I was trying to figure out life, not just how to deal with injuries and things like that, but just life, things got kind of out of control for me in terms of just life in general. And I had to figure out how to just, it sounds weird, but you have to figure out how to be a normal person. And I was very fortunate. I had a good support system around me, and I eventually met my wife, and we have a family. But trying to figure out school and work and those things, and I let myself go, and I was dealing with chronic pain. I was going to the VA, and they're giving me prescriptions, and I was gaining weight, and pain medications. I talked about muscle relaxers, NSAIDs, all those things, and I didn't really like to take them. I had lost some friends to suicide, and they were on very similar pain regimens, and I just didn't want that for me. I thought there was more out there, and so I was getting to a point where it would take me half hour plus to get out of bed. And in my background is kinesiology, so I understand the mechanisms and the modes to get you going and how to help you. At least I thought I did, but it just wasn't working for me. And as the time went on, now I've been out for about 9 years. I got into engineering and I started working an office job. I started gaining weight and the pain never went away. And I just, I spent a lot of time helping people, but I never was able to help myself. And just that chronic pain was taking its toll. And until about 11 months ago, I had come across the kind of that low carb, high fat lifestyle and the keto diet through a few different few different means. And I at this point I was it'd been through a lot of yo-yo dieting. I was almost 400 pounds.
Wow.
I was just in pain. It was awful. And I've been an athlete my entire life. We talked about before, and then in the military. And so I was never out of shape. And it was just, it was extremely hard. And I just kind of hit rock bottom. And I ended up just heard a podcast that was talking about keto diet. And then I heard another one, and I started to do the research, and it made sense to me. And I was like, well, I'll try it. And I didn't tell anyone. I just started doing it, and I started losing weight really fast. And after a few months, I started to be able to wake up and get right out of bed. And for 6-7 years, like it would take me forever to get out of bed. And then I started kind of going through and looking deeper into PubMed, and started to see a lot of the side effects of a keto diet and a low carb diet and pain, and how it dealt with pain management and inflammation. And after now I'm going on 11 months now. I've lost over 120 pounds.
Wow.
I mean, I'm training again, and I'll get to that in a little bit. And I don't hurt. And the only time I'm in pain is after hard workouts. And you get that delayed onset muscle sort of stuff. But so my pain is gone. All the chronic pain I was dealing with. So in all my joints, I would have arthritis. I'd get cortisone injections. I'd get NSAIDs, and everything from, you can imagine, from my doctors at the VA and both my civilian doctor. And I didn't like taking them, and because they never really worked, especially when the weather turned cold. It gets brutal in Detroit. So I'm going through a time now where I don't experience pain in my joints. I can get up, and I have a lot of flexibility back, and I've lost over 120 pounds in 11 months. And that's not because of the exercise. I lost probably 60, 70 pounds before I even started exercising again and getting to a regimen. And so, additionally, I was diagnosed with a mild traumatic brain injury, and everything that I dealt with that, with the memory loss, the lack of memory, the cloudy, thinking and slow processing times, is now gone. Like, I don't have those issues, and I feel like I did before I was in the Army. And so it's been this it's been a life-changing experience for me, in terms of not just being pain-free, not just being active, but I'm now in a better place, personally, emotionally, physically, all these things, and which is kind of lead me to what I'm going to be trying in 2018. And so but embracing that low carb, high fat, and again, I don't want to call it keto, because I haven't really been truly keto for a couple months now. But I always keep my carbs under 25 grams a day, with the exception of a couple days. But
Yeah.
but that's
We all have those days, eh?
yeah. So, but other than, I mean, but it's just been one of those just life-changing experiences for me, in terms of, it's not that I have to get new clothes, but I don't hurt. It just, when you've been in pain for so long, when you spend so much time in pain, you get used to it. You can deal with it and you manage it. But when you don't have it anymore, it changes everything. And now things like doing a 5K that you would kind of frown upon before, shy away from, because you knew it would hurt, now you can do without thinking about it. And all these things I can do and be active and not worry about just the pain factor. And it's just been life-changing for me.
So you're talking about all the pain, but in leading up to this, you spoke to me a little bit about PTSD as well. expand a little bit on how you feel that it's helped with that, and then maybe sort of let that segue into how you're trying to bring this to the rest of the veteran community.
Oh, for sure. For me, I've been through multiple combat deployments, and I've done everything from direct action type things to I did a tour doing CSTAR combat search and rescue, and so I was exposed to a lot of I'd say pretty traumatic things at times, and to me it never really, it didn't dawn on me until after I was out. But I do have a diagnosis of PTSD, and as well as my the TBI, and I'm actually very comfortable talking about it because to me, that's been therapeutic to be able to talk about and share my experiences with people. And I know it can be it's taboo. I think it's been taboo traditionally, but it's something that I have struggled with, and whether it be issues sleeping, nightmares, being uncomfortable in crowds, and in pretty much every classic sign and symptom that there's been with that, I've gone through and dealt with. And it's not I know it's not uncommon. I have a lot of friends that have gone through it as well. But one of the amazing things that I've seen is that I don't have a lot of those same issues with those symptoms of PTSD. And again, I don't want to say that the carbs are the devil of everything, but there's a lot of things I think that have come along with embracing that low carb lifestyle, low carb, high fat, or keto diet, in terms of it's helped me regain a lot of confidence, which again, it has been therapeutic in terms of dealing with my issues as well with the PTS. But there's also a lot of research showing that there is a strong correlation with neurological disorders and diseases, and emotional as well.
Yeah.
And with the high carb traditional American diet. And so embracing this has definitely changed just emotionally, my affect as well. And so I was always a pretty upbeat person, or I used to think I was at least. But now I feel like I used to, again, prior to when I was in the Army, and the time I'd spent overseas. And so it's so much so it's changed me that my friends who I've been, my people, friends I've served with, they've started to do the keto diet as well and reporting the same things. And so it's been pretty awesome to see that, okay, it's not just me. This actually does affect other people, and other people in my extended family, in my extended circle, that aren't necessarily in the military, but they have worked in first responder jobs or like ER, emergency rooms. So where they're also exposed to a high degree of trauma and stress and chronic stress situations. And they're reporting similar things now after being on this, I'll call it a keto protocol for a few months. And so I always, I'm afraid to come across like a zealot, someone who's trying to sell something, right? Because it's hard to believe. And for me, with my science background and as an engineer, I'm always skeptical of things, and you want to find the hard data and find the hard research. But it's changed. I mean, it's changed my life. It really has. And it's starting to help change in within my circle as well. People seeing that change are starting to embrace it themselves and are experiencing the same things. And so it's just been an awesome experience. And it's something that for me, I want to figure out the best way to share it without making it seem off-putting to people, if you will, because you don't want to come across like a used car salesman, and so, but like I said, it's been great. And to me, if we looked at nutritional interventions for veterans, I know for a fact that it would actually change that VA healthcare system. If we looked at the nutritional first, instead of, I was just at the VA 2 weeks ago, and they had their healthy lifestyle initiatives they're doing, and they're still dealing with that food pyramid and the my plate kind of things. And it's and you just want to shake someone and say, listen, like, look at me, like I'm proof. And I can actually show you now I have stacks of research. I went through PubMed and just going through and combing data. This is what we could do. And I mean, in terms of even the cost of healthcare through the VA, you could save the government so much money, not just the VA, but in general.
Yeah.
The cost of healthcare could be reduced if we just embrace these things. And so, so it's trying to find that platform. And I've seen now that it doesn't matter how many graduate degrees I have, the fact that I've lost so much weight and the fact that I'm out there running and training, more people take notice of that than any publication I've written, any research paper I used to do,
right.
any other intervention. Just the seeing me and my experiences has spoken louder than anything else, which is so it's frustrating because I've invested so much in education and certifications and training, but when people see me, they're like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" I think I'm going to try it, and it's just been. At the end of the day, the results is I'm getting what I want. Is people are seeing that, and that's my hope in taking on this endeavor of the ultra running in 2018, and to draw attention to that. And so that's my goal, if you will. So
yeah, no, that's cool. It's like you're leading by example. You're not trying to sell anybody anything. You're just trying to say, look at me. You can have this too, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
And it's really motivational for me to see that you're focusing specifically on the veteran community, because I always ache to be able to help them in some way. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you've come along now with someone that's really focused on that is really cool for me, and we'd love to throw our weight behind whatever you're doing, give you as much publicity as possible, and try and help you get some traction too. So maybe even if you're able to get out to San Diego in July, we can get you to do one of the breakout talks there. You can come for the runs with us at 5 a.m. and lead by example there too. We'd love to have you there. I think it would be awesome.
It would be an awesome opportunity, and it's something I definitely would love to do. So it's funny when you find a community of people who are so supportive of this as well, and that aren't looking to do anything but to kind of you're sharing the same message, and you want to get that out as much as you can. And actually, it's funny because I did reach out to the VA, to the VHA, and with some data saying, "Hey, listen, can we look at this?" And like, "Oh yeah, we'll look into it." And obviously, I've never
right
back. And I look at in terms of if you need to make or want to make an impact, you have to sometimes do something big and sometimes crazy, and that's kind of my goal. And that's why 2018 I want to do 12 ultras, which I'm getting nervous about as the first one's approaching. But in doing that without using carbohydrates as fuel, and so and I think we've talked about that before. And so with all these races, doing them with fats,
completely fat adapted, yeah.
And I know people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in touch with Tim Noakes, who's obviously very involved in the ultramarathon community and stuff, and he's been adamant that at least the average person would be able to run completely carbohydrate free all day, So this will be really cool to see it. See it in action. So tell me, when's your first ultra?
My first ultra is January 6th. It's in it's just south of Grand Rapids, Michigan. It's the Yankee Springs Winter Challenge. And so
how far is it?
I'm doing the 50K. And so I thought it was 50 miles, but it's 50K. So
it's
not one of the crazy.
Start.
So it's a good, to me, I was kind of like, okay, well, it's only 33, 34 miles, so I can do that. 50 clicks is not too bad. I'm hoping to do hoping to do it in under 8 hours. I think I could probably actually do it in under 6, but I want to be respectful of my body and know that I'm not doing this for time. I'm doing it to do it. And so I got a couple. I'm starting with 250Ks, and then a 50 miler, then one that's like, I think 49 miles in April. Then I'm going to do a 150 miler in May, and it's for veterans. It's a Veterans Memorial 150. And that's actually a race across Michigan, complete from lake to lake. So yeah, that one it'll be interesting, but I'm looking forward to the opportunity to do this and the challenge. And that's one of the things that when you are so overweight and you're so in pain, you forget what it's like to challenge yourself, because something like tying shoes or walking upstairs is a challenge, right? And that's not the right kind of challenge you want.
Right.
And because I've had this change, I'm thinking, like I'm going to start running ultra marathons, so I mean, it's one of those things where I'm like, I think I can do that. And I chose ultras because I've never liked running. Even though I spent the majority of my life as a soccer player, I've never liked running. I've always been strong but running's always been hard. So, in 2018, I want to do 12 ultras, and then 2019, I want to do the 4 deserts series, and then that they're doing with the Racing the Planet, and I think that's 2019. So that's those there. So, but yeah, and I'm finding I call myself a fat adapted athlete, as a inside joke to myself, but I find it actually easier to run, and I have find my endurance, one, not taking any carbohydrates, and 2, I do it fasted, which is really odd because I've had to try to figure out how to fuel as I'm going on these longer runs, because I know I'm going to have to. But I find it easier to do these things, to run using fat and fasted, which is contrary to everything I learned in school and in grad school. And
contrary to everything all of us endurance athletes have learned.
It's been pretty crazy. And so I've reached out to some of my old professors about these things, and they gave me the same looks that they did when I'd ask them crazy questions or say things back in school. So there's still, I think, a long way to go. But again, doing this, I mean, if you see I'm built like a American football linebacker. So I'm definitely not I don't have that distance runner build.
You're not a Kenyan marathon runner.
No. So, but like I said, I'm excited for the opportunity, and if anything, it's for the cause that I'm doing it, and I'm finding that like just people that I know, from kids, like other parents on my kids' soccer teams, to my wife and her friends, to extended family and people who I don't normally talk to or interact with. They start to ask me questions. Hey, what are you doing? And there's so many people I know that just seeing me do this are adopting this lifestyle. And if I can reach that broader audience and show my fellow vets, and I'm fairly active in that community in terms of getting out to events, and I've done some things with the Wounded Warrior Project and other organizations, and I see guys all the time there that were in my boat, and then they're doing their best to go to the VA and get their help that way, and it's just not working.
Yeah.
And I was able to change by eating a lot of bacon. Like it's
works for me.
It was when I started this, I was eating like a pound of bacon a day and half a dozen eggs, avocados, and I cooking everything in butter. And my wife was like, she's a nurse, so like, you're gonna have a heart attack. You're gonna, she was obviously very concerned about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, and I wasn't really forthcoming with what I was doing because I knew what she would think. And it's just been funny that she was so resistant to the idea that I just started losing weight. I'm down. I don't know. I think I'm like 10 pants size or something crazy. So now she's actually doing it. She's doing, and it's funny because she's not big, but she's always had like migraines, and now she's starting to see a difference in some of her, just her affect and things like that. So she's been pretty excited, and now she's finding the world of keto recipes and all
Yeah.
this stuff. So I'm like, I just want bacon and eggs. That's all I want to eat, and avocados. And so now she's doing all these things. So it's just great to see now my family's involved with it as well. So it's just been, like I said, I know I've said it a few times. It's been a life-changing experience for me. Yeah,
that's awesome. I'm so glad, man. This is the kind of thing, when I hear this, that makes what we're doing worthwhile as well. You know, that we see real people and real lives that are being changed. And so this is brilliant. We're going to follow your journey through 2018. Hopefully the end of July doesn't conflict with your ultra marathon that month, and you're able to make it out to San Diego. And Ben, just for what you're trying to do for the vet community here, I'd like to thank you. I'm sure the rest of our community would too. And hopefully we see you in July. Thank you very much for your time.
That was great.
Okay.
Thanks, Doug.